Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Orange and Brew podcast, the podcast where we married our two favorite pastimes, the Denver Broncos and beer. I am JT Matthews. You can find me at JTMatthews01 on X, ? And I'm here with the doctor, Nicholas Manning, at DR_N Manning, also on social media. And we have a guest today, a guest we've had on before, but we're glad to have him back, Mark DiGiacomo, aka Marky D, also at Marky D_17 on social media, specifically X, and the One Horse Town podcast. Mark, how you doing today? Thanks for joining us, man.
I am doing good. How are you guys? I appreciate you having me on again.
Yeah, of course. We're glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about the pod. I haven't had a chance to listen to it, so give me the rundown. Give me anything I should know about it.
All right. Well, last time I was on your guys' pod, I was going to do a podcast based on the whole NFL. I kind of pivoted and shifted gears, and I'm just focusing on the Broncos now. I just realized that that's more of my passion, and I just feel like it's more stuff that I know, more stuff that I'm used to. So sure. I just started to focus on that, and so now it's just Broncos based.
Love it, man. You got heard you got a guest upcoming that people should tune in to hear.
Yes, I don't know if anybody out there listens to The Fan, but he is the editor for Denver Sports. He's also on the radio every so often. James Marilat. He's going to be my guest on Wednesday. And we're going to be talking about the same stuff that we'll all be discussing today.
Yeah, we got lots of Broncos talk, so that's pretty cool. So go ahead, check out One Horse Town if you're listening to our pod. We also want to support our fellow pod friends in the Broncos arena. Doc, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. Week 2 of school. The little ones are back.
Yep.
One more week to the littlest one goes to school. So that will be a nice transition.
Yeah. I've had the littlest in school, and
no,
it's been nice. It's been nice. Like, I'll always preface it with I love them to death, but also they gotta
can't miss them if they're not gone.
Mm-hmm.
Can't miss them if they ain't gone.
Outside
of that, it's hot outside. I'm going to be coaching Coach Pitch 6-year-old baseball here in a little bit, and so we'll see how that goes. So my answer later might be different than now, but as of now, doing great.
Fair enough. Well, you guys want to just jump right into the Broncos talk? Let's go for it.
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
Here.
Sure, why not?
I guess that's why we're here. I as much as I like to stall and ask y'all about your days, we will talk Broncos. And the Broncos had an important preseason game against the San Francisco 49ers this past weekend, and we want to break it down a little bit. Let's just get some general takeaways, and then we'll jump into some stock up, stock down players specifically. Mark, I'll start with you, man. How are you feeling about this squad following the game on Saturday?
Well, a really good friend of mine messaged me the other day and asked me, how do you judge your team on preseason? Like, do you go by wins and losses? He really wanted to know what my opinion was. And I just told him that you just got to look and when the starters play, see how they do, see how, if they drive down the field, if they don't, if they stall, just all those different factors, not necessarily wins and losses.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm there with you. I think preseason is there to, especially with teams that, have regime changes or coaching changes. This is the perfect time to start trying out some of the situational things. I think we saw a little bit of that on Saturday, just practicing some different scenarios, some different play calls to see what will work and what won't work or what might work. I think overall, I walked away feeling a little bit better than I did after the first preseason game. So that's a nice feeling. Would you on the same page with me there, Doc?
I feel better. That's for sure. We talked about it last week. What did we see, or what was our confidence meter? And I know we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but it was a much more entertaining game. So it felt like more football versus a rough practice. Like that was the Arizona game was choppy, it was messy,
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of flow. This game was much better. I liked it also because the level of competition was better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
San Francisco 49ers are a solid bet to participate in the NFC Championship game and potentially the Super Bowl. So going toe to toe with that group early on, that to me was a really, really encouraging thing. So overall, I feel better today than I did Friday.
Yeah.
And today's Monday, which should say a lot because Friday was better.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's get into it a little bit. Let's use the stock up, stock down as kind of a vehicle for breaking down the game a little bit, though, because I think that it seems like a good place to go, especially when like Mark was talking about. We're not necessarily looking for a win in preseason. We're looking for competency and ability to show that they're expanding that offense, they're learning that offense, they feel comfortable with the schemes that are in place. So let's start with our stock up.
Hey, just really quick, actually, before we go to stock up.
Oh, yeah. What's up?
Do any of you remember the Broncos preseason record from 2 years ago? Go.
No, not a chance.
So your point was right on. When the wins and losses don't matter.
Yeah.
How you perform, right? Who stepped up with an opportunity to win and who didn't? Those third string guys who let the game go away again. That probably speaks. That probably matters much more than the final score, right? Did they compete? Were they in the place? It could have been bad calls by the coordinators, right? Put your team in bad position. So it's not necessarily all on the players. I do think that there's something there for those guys, not the total outcome for the team, but definitely that. I think, what is it? Baltimore's won like 21 straight preseason, something ridiculous, right? And it's the year the Lions went 0 for 16, they were 4-0 in the preseason. So it's not exactly a conduit to a successful season. So with that quiz, I appreciate you gentlemen participating. So our stock up questions as presented by JT Matthews.
Yeah, no, let's let why don't you kick it off first, Doc? Who's your first stock up candidate?
My first stock up, because I got like a ton, is just really good. No,
we're probably not going to just be able to do three.
I hope you guys don't steal any of mine.
My first stock
up, so I don't steal it.
My first stock up is the play calling. So I don't know if any of you watched the Broncos last year, but not great. Pat Shurmur looked like an innovative genius, so which that says a lot. Punch Shurmur was not the best coordinator. I liked the flow. I liked the intentional play calling. I liked the organization of it. I liked the involvement of Javonte Williams in it. You can really see like Sean Payton's plan. And so with that, I thought that the offense was much more schemed. You could see the rhythm and the flow. The first week, which we're going to run plays. We're not scheming for Arizona. We're going to run what we're going to run. And so I really was encouraged by how Sean Payton utilized the talent of the offense, right? Saw guys get involved early. You saw Russell Wilson get out on the edge with with the zone read power sweep, which is, if they can do that, if our guy Russ has 40 yards rushing a game, it doesn't sound like a ton. That's 4 extra first downs a game.
Yep.
That we weren't getting with Teddy Bridgewater, right? So that's exciting. So I, as a huge fan of offensive play calling, that it got me it's so good. It's so good. The nuance there, helping, the pressure wasn't as bad. You could see there's some scheme to help guys out a little bit, right? Like there's just some intention behind it. So my stock up, Sean Payton, the play caller. So boom, I can see it. I can see why he was brought here. That's for sure. Yeah,
no, and just to hit on that point a little bit, that those intentional QB runs, those designed QB runs are fun. They're fun to see, and would have been fairly successful, except for wide receiver holding. That was that play, right?
Cortland Sutton.
Cortland. Was that Cortland on that play? Was that right? Yeah. So I mean, there were some opportunities there, and I think that we talked a little bit of it after that, after last season and coming into this season. Like having Russ be mobile is important to this offense, especially with the amount of pressure he was getting and has been getting. So I think that that's a great point. Mark, jump into your stock up option first.
Well, my stock up is actually, I know our defense is like our bread and butter, so we always count on them to be good. But for my stock up, I think Zach Allen and Jonathan Cooper are going to be a great combination for us for defensive pass rushers. And then besides that, I think Demarius Mathis is going to be a great opposite of PS2. I think he's coming to his own. He's had a really good camp, and I think he's going to be great opposite PS2.
Whoa. That was like multiple stock ups there.
Sorry,
just
dude.
I just we didn't steal them.
Yeah, I was just making sure you guys didn't steal them. Sorry.
Those are your three. Those are your three stock ups.
Yeah. Just those two guys as a combo and Demarius Mathis. So I guess two.
So Demarius Mathis, and then the combo of Cooper and Allen.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I like both of them. I consider talking about Jonathan Cooper as one of my stock up guys. So that fits perfectly with.
I have not been a Jonathan Cooper guy. Like he's a depth piece. I like him, but I didn't view him as a potential impact player.
Sure.
I don't want to write home too much about beating Cam Fleming and Garrett Bowles as of the moment. And it's one preseason game. That said, he has looked different. So I like that stock up. I've been to practice several times, and Zach Allen has looked like him. So it's been a while since the Broncos have had a really strong inside-outside duo. So, Mark, I really like that. Last time is probably Vaughn and D. Wolf, right? I mean, that's like the last real combo that the Broncos have had. And interior pass rush has been almost absent. And then the several times that we've had it with Shelby Harris or Draymond Jones, there's no one pressuring from the outside. So,
I was a bit skeptical about Zach Allen. I wasn't totally sure how he was going to be, but he's been great, man. So that was a great pickup.
Question for you, Mark. I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay.
Okay.
Do you think it's an upgrade over Draymond Jones?
I'm going to say they're almost like the same player, and I would give the edge to Zach Allen. I would.
Welcome to the group. The Zach Allen fan club.
Yeah.
I got to go with Zach Allen for sure.
And I'm a Draymond guy because I'm a Ohio State guy by nature, but I would agree.
You are naughty by nature.
Zach Allen over Draymond. I think that duo will be good. I think obviously there'll still be rotational pieces, and I don't know that Cooper will end up being the starter on that opposite side, though. I mean, with the way he played, he definitely shows that he could be.
I mean, it shows a lot that that Frank Clark didn't get into the second half really.
I think they did that as a statement to him because he doesn't look as fast.
I think they believe in Jonathan Cooper. They've said a lot of really good stuff. It's a little bit like, tongue in cheek, like we'll see, a lot of puff comments about this being the best outside group I've been around, things like that are just like, really though, or just saying nice stuff to say nice stuff. But he has looked really good in camp, and it's translated. So he had some good pressures in the Arizona game, and he played really well yesterday. And so that to me, I think is, maybe it's a little bit more earned than we anticipated. Clark has been a little slower to get in. I also hope that Frank Clark wasn't brought here to be the every down outside linebacker. He wasn't that anymore.
No, definitely not.
So I'm glad that Jonathan Cooper has gotten the trust of that group. I think it also makes us feel a little bit better than Baron Browning. Like, hey, you can come back slow. Like, let's not get you hurt again. And, once that guy gets back, then you have a lot of different players with different skill sets. So I agree. Stock up for Jonathan Cooper, and that combo has been nice. Damari Mathis was a baller.
Yeah.
Absolute. That was phenomenal. He was one of my guys coming out of school. Definitely not a Pitt fan, but he is a fantastic athlete. He, after that first game, he's ascended, and I agree. It makes you feel really good about where they're at corner with those two gents outside. So Love me, Damari. Love me.
Like I was saying, our defense is solid, but seeing this new regime of these guys, it's really awesome to see for me.
Yeah, and Mathis is one that I think we've all kind of been holding our breath on a little bit. Like, we know that he's got some chops, but is he CB2 material?
Yep.
I think he showed that he is, or at least has the potential to be. I mean, he's going to get that opportunity.
Yeah, he's going to be tested, you know?
Mm-hmm. He's one of those guys that it's so funny, like, because I don't view him the same way. Like, he's not the same kind of cornerback that Pat Surtain is. He just isn't. But and I think he'll give up some catches, but he's smart. He's heady. He attacks the ball. We saw him bat one down or like knock one out of the tight end's hands, I think, or receiver's hands, even after kind of relinquishing a catch. Like, he's got some instinct there, and he's definitely got the athletic tools. So
I think him playing with PS2 is helping him a lot. He's probably learned a lot from that guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, it would be hard to not to just watch one of the best in the league just do it every day, you know. My stock up, I'm just gonna say the running back room in this last game specifically. I think all of our running backs look good. Javonte looks, I don't know if he looks 100%, but he looks closer to 100% than I think any of us were anticipating that he would.
Dude, that guy is a freak. I can't believe he's back. He's a freak.
I know. It's shades of Adrian Peterson after his ACL back in the day. Was it ACL and MCL? I don't remember.
His was an ace. I think his was just an ACL.
Just an ACL. So yeah,
Javonte's what he's done with his injury is just it's unprecedented.
Yeah, dude, it's just crazy to see him.
Yeah, it is. It's wild to see kind of him bounce back the way he has. I thought P. Ryan looked good as a running back too. He ran with intention and intensity. He created contact and was aggressive, and I have no worries about him being the backup. And then Jaleel McLaughlin looked like the RB3 on this team. You know, I think he's going to be that guy. He's going to be a change of pace guy. He'll be a returner. We saw him get a decent return in the punt game.
I'd like to see him play with the ones. I'd like to really see that.
Yeah, I think he'll get some opportunity. I do. I think he probably won't get slotted there on the depth chart. You know, probably not even at 2. But I think, you know, with what he's shown, there will be some intentional play calls with him in mind, getting him in space, giving him opportunity to create some mismatches. Just that little run on the outside for the touchdown. He just puts on the brakes and lets the defender over pursue, and then just kind of scampers into the end zone. Was just like, it was such a fun little moment, and it was just nice to remember, like, oh yeah, this guy's an athlete, man. He's got that change of direction, like probably like no one else on this offense, or at least not anyone in that running back room.
Yeah, definitely not in that running back room. Maybe it's like Jerry Jeudy a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
When it comes to the quickness, if he didn't cement his spot on that roster before that game, he cemented it on that play for sure. Yeah. I think that was even before the kick return of like 40-something yards. So
yeah, I think so.
If he's able to contribute as a returner, I think he's shown enough as an alternate weapon on offense. It gives them a different piece to that running back room. You got your 2 sledgehammers in Williams and P. Ryan, and now you got your quick guy. Tony Jones hasn't really been that dude. Beatty didn't really get much look at all this last week, so I think that it goes to maybe what their concerns are with him. So, yeah, I'm a fan. I will be at Dove Valley the next morning if Jaleel is not on the squad.
Yeah, no
sign. I'll just be out there like, heck no, we won't go.
And yeah, and nothing against Tony Jones. He had a nice run too, but
no, there's a lot against it. But he didn't break away. Like,
no, he didn't break away.
I mean, he's probably a really good back. I mean, they're all better than us, right? We get it,
of course.
But maybe he's a guy that can hang around the practice squad and just duplicate skill sets, right? Like, he's a big back, and obviously not of the same cloth as the first 2. I think just having a guy that does different stuff, just like your receiver room. You can't have too many receivers that do the same thing. You need complementary pieces, and so I think that was all they wrote for Tony Jones Jr. as a 53-man participant this year.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Okay, we're gonna do a complimentary round. If you want to get an extra one in, Doc or Mark, no pressure if you loosed all your ammo on this, but if you want to throw another one in there, go for it.
Just one, Mister.
I guess I would just say, like, I think I agree with you, John. That the run game looks great. I feel like the run game. I think our running back room, John, right?
JT.
I don't know if you go by John or JT. My fault.
John's the other guy.
Okay, my fault. JT.
No, you're good. You're good. No worries.
I think, like, I agree with you. I think the run game looks really great. So yeah, but I'm with you. I think all our guys are really good. I think we have like 3 complementary guys that are going to be good for us. It's just a matter of that offensive line that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that as we get a little further in. Doc, you got an extra add-on for stock up?
I do. I got several. I'm just kidding. Well, I'll do one.
Pick a few.
I'll do one. I have been positively impressed by the defensive line depth, but that's not going to be my one.
Okay.
My one actually is Lloyd Cushenberry. I thought that he has been the most consistent offensive lineman. I don't know what that says.
I would agree with that.
But it's been he was the guy I had the most worry about. Now he is the player that I don't worry about. So shout out to him for putting together some good tape and realizing his opportunity, and to this point getting it right. We all hoped that they would get a center. We all hoped that they would draft one earlier. None of those things happened, and he's showing the bosses that maybe they made the right call.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think an additional stock up for me. Yeah, I mean, you kind of mentioned it, but I think that defensive line depth is exciting. I think it's something that we were worried about coming into camp. We still,
is that a question mark in the beginning?
Yeah, totally. And I don't think that question mark is completely resolved. Again, we're taking preseason snaps and trying to do the best assessment that we can with those. But we look like some of those guys, some of those depth pieces, especially Jordan Jackson and Elijah Garcia, have been really nice. They've been really successful against the second and third teamers of the other squads. They showed that ability to potentially break into a rotation or take over one of those spots if someone's underperforming. So I think that is positive. And I'll just throw in a little quick one for Nate Adkins. I think he had a nice game. He went out there. He was a nice big target for the backup quarterbacks. Had some decent catches. I think he's a guy that you could probably plug in as a depth guy, and it would make an impact on this team. So maybe we're talking about retooling the tight end room a little bit. Let's take a quick break. Let's actually, we don't even have to break. We do this on StreamYard now, so we can just go straight into beer time. All right, it is beer time. Frank the Tanking it up, which, like I said, I say it every week. I never get sick of it. It's great.
Who doesn't love Frank the Tank, man? Come on.
I don't know. Have you seen him?
He's a legend. I am going to abstain courteously from beer time because I did not get an appropriate beer in the time frame that I had. So that's on me. But I know that the boys here got some beers, so I'm going to kick it to Doc to tell me what you're drinking today.
Yeah, I found this legend. I don't know. So I got Locust. So it is in Belmar, so Lakewood, Colorado. So this is the Honey Pear Semi-Sweet Hard Cider. Wildflower, honey, pear, and apples. It's real simple and bold.
Sounds good.
6% alcohol by volume. Drink responsibly.
Not technically a beer for beer time, but we like our hard cider. I like hard cider.
You gotta try different stuff.
Well, it's funny that you have a cider, Nick, because I brought a cider also.
Oh, hey now.
But I did a cider because the last time I was on your show, I did a cider, so I wanted to just keep the theme.
Keep it going. Keep it running.
Yes.
What
And
do you
I
got?
did. I have Angry Orchard, peach mango cider.
Interesting.
I've had this one before. It's very peachy and mango-y, with a very touch of apple still. So like a fruit bomb, but delicious.
It's good. It's a good one. It's solid. Would recommend.
I would definitely recommend it if you like fruity stuff, which I do.
Yeah. No, I like it in a cider for sure. I don't always love it in a beer, but obviously, cider's a little bit of a different breed.
I call it big boy juice.
Yeah, that's a good name for it. That's exactly what it is. So, Doc, you want to pop yours open?
Let's do it.
Did I jump the gun? My fault.
It's okay. It's all right. Doc will count himself down because I'm not even doing it.
3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah. Cheers, boys.
Salute.
All right. Got a decent look on the Doc's face. Seems like maybe he isn't hating it, which is good.
I like it. That's weird.
There's a question mark. There's a big
it's like
question mark.
it tastes like apple juice.
Oh, okay. All right.
With alcohol.
So it tastes like
not
apple
even really. I don't really like it. Just tastes like a off-brand apple juice.
That's why they're kind of dangerous, dude. You drink like 4 or 5 of them, you don't realize it, and you're like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
You get up off your chair, and you're like, oh wow.
On the second swig, I get a little bit of the honey.
Okay, all right.
A little bit of the honey flavor. It's not too sweet though. It does have like a longer aftertaste, which is interesting. But some cool stuff to note. So a portion of every can purchase donated to support our cause. Hydrocephalus, an incurable brain condition for our owner's daughter, and millions of lives and other millions of lives also.
Well, that makes sense. Go buy it right there.
Yeah, something good. Do something good. Again, Locust and Belmar. Go check them out.
I've seen that one before. I'm going to have to try it.
Yeah, I'll have to try it. I've never heard of it, but I mean, got to support our small business, local business as well. And supporting a good cause. That's always something I'm all about. That always when breweries do that and give to the community, they always get an A+ in my book. So we'll have to check that one out. But when we get back to some Broncos talk.
Let's do it.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
All right. Now we got to go. Now we got to be the bad guys because we did the positives
down.
Yeah, we did the positives up front. Now we got to do our stock down. So Mark, why don't you kick us off with one of your stock down players?
All right, I'm not going to jump the gun and do 2 like I did last time. Sorry about that, guys.
That's all right.
Like I said, I really didn't want you to steal them because I was really wanted to get those ones out there.
Hey, we might have too. I had Jonathan Cooper on my list, so you.
Well, I'm glad you did. All right. We're both Ohio State guys, so that's probably why, dude.
That's right.
Good.
Okay, so my stock down is Ben Powers. We gave this dude all this money, and I'm sorry, but he's looked like crap. Like we give him all this money, and he's supposed to be this high-paid guard, and he doesn't look good at all. And I'm just like, why did we sign this guy? Like he's looked good in spurts, but it's like, is that why did the Ravens let him go for a reason? I don't know. I think he's still got potential, but he's upset. He's disappointed me for sure.
Yeah. Doc, I'll let you speak on that because we talked a little bit about that offline.
Yeah, it has been a disappointment. That is for sure. He's brought here to be an upgrade in pass protection, bring some beef to the run game, and particularly in pass pro. So this last game wasn't as bad. That first game against Arizona was, that was rough.
Terrible.
Definitely not what you paid for. So at this point in time, it definitely looks like a whiff. It is super early. You hope that guys like him and McGlinchey will play closer to the mean of who they have been in their career, but it definitely is not not great so far.
Yeah, I mean, with a guy like that, you expect him to come in and fill a need and do it well. I mean, at least to, like you said, kind of to the mean. And we just haven't seen that, and that has been disappointing. I would agree, and especially when you're looking at an interior offensive line that struggled last year already. We need to make sure that group is improved. And you didn't make a move with Cushenberry, which he's looked better, but that remains to be seen how well he plays during the season. If your Powers is a question mark, then that's 2/3 of your interior offensive line that you're not feeling real good about, and that could become an issue really quickly that the Broncos have to make some choices about. So I'm with you on that, Mark. I think he's sadly not shown up yet. I'm hopeful though. I'm hopeful that he'll raise his level. Maybe it's just those training camp blues. Maybe you go out there and you hustle and you give it your all for a few weeks, and you feel like you got a spot on the roster, so maybe you're not sweating it so much. So it's something to keep an eye on going into the regular season, though, for sure.
I hope that's what it is. I hope that's just training camp blues, dude. Like, I hope that's what it is.
Yeah, me too. Doc, who's your stock down?
Well, that was a good one. So you stole that one. My stock down would be no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
You could. You'll have another opportunity.
My stock down would be the kicking game. So to me, it's the one area that actually causes me concern. I think Maher played or performed better.
He made some kicks this last game.
He did. And I don't feel great though. I don't feel great.
You have a lot of confidence in that.
I just don't think that this team will be that good, especially early on, to lose, to not need, a good kicking effort. The whole special teams group has been a little bit of a concern. This game was better. For sure. So that group worries me because I think as this team continues to gel, they really need good performances from all three. I don't think they're good enough to overcome disaster in one area. And so, random rumors out there that the Broncos would be willing to trade for Will Lutz, which is interesting. Like trade for a kicker just shows how desperate you might be.
I was just going to say that. I was like, you think Sean Payton's waiting for that? He could be.
I think he is always looking for an upgrade. He's an aggressive guy. So, he doesn't really care about draft picks. He will trade up. He will go get someone he wants. If there's a target, he'll go get it. And it wouldn't surprise me. That was the only kicker that he ever committed to. So, he got around in the kicking world and then found someone, put a ring on it. And then here we are again, trying to figure out what's best. So that worries me. They definitely need some stability. Don't need perfection, but need some stability.
Yeah.
I agree.
I can get behind that. Kicking game is like, I don't know. I guess my stock's not down on it because it was never all that high. It's probably the same for you. And I felt like they did fine this last preseason game. It didn't stand out to me as a negative. Riley Dixon looked fine. Maher did pretty much what you want him to do. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's something we're all have in the back of our mind, especially with how bad special teams has been over the last 5 or 6 years with this team. So the last thing we need is to worry about a kicker and putting up points when we struggled to put the ball in the end zone last year. So my stock down is going to be the backup quarterbacks. I don't feel good about any of them. Either of them, I guess I should say.
I'm with you on that.
Not that Russ is. I don't think. Obviously, he's not going to be in trouble of losing his job to either of those guys. But if Russ goes down, I think this team is in a lot of trouble. I was hopeful that DiNucci would look better. I was hoping that his athleticism would stand out. In the XFL, he made some plays with his legs. He was able to kind of improv a little bit and make some plays and make some throws that you wouldn't expect from someone like him. And we haven't really seen that. And then Jarrett Stidham has just been not good. He just hasn't been good in either showing. You know, some underthrown balls, some mistimed balls, an interception. Like he struggled on the whole, and I just feel like, you know, I hope there's not a period of time in the season where we have to rely on either of those guys, because I feel like you could go from having a solid, maybe even a potential bubble playoff appearance, and that could go down the tubes really quick if you don't have anyone that can come in and just manage a game.
Yeah, my feeling is always, if you get to your backup quarterback, your season's probably trash. But you want to feel like you could get through a 2-game stretch.
Yeah.
There's a significant, regardless of whatever you think about Russell Wilson, when you watch the difference when he leaves the field to the next guys, right? Just how the ball comes out, tempo, confidence, like all that stuff. It's significantly different. Was never really a Stidham guy. Thought maybe, you know, you got to trust Sean Payton and what he sees in him. I definitely don't see him as a potential starter in the league, let alone a long-term answer for the Broncos. Could he get them? Is he better than Brett Rippon? Probably. But in the end,
I don't feel like he is. Maybe, you know,
I think he's got more arm talent than
I think
Brett
so too.
Rippon,
I think that's true.
to do especially what they want to do. I think he's bigger. He does have a little bit more athleticism than Rip. Really was hopeful that DiNucci would capitalize in this last game, and he didn't. He kind of missed his opportunity. So yeah, I don't have a lot of confidence with them. There's not a lot of really good backups in the league anyhow. That said, you hope that they can get you a split, you know, or if there's a 3-game, they can get you at least 1 out of the 3, something like that, where you're not tanking your season. I definitely do not have confidence in them. Hopefully, you know, Sean Payton can out scheme. He won with Trevor Siemian and Teddy Bridgewater, and you know, and Jameis and Andy Dalton. Like, no, he wasn't there. Andy Dalton was there, but you know, he's done less with more before, or more with less. I'm not sure which one. So you have to have faith in that part, but I don't have faith in those guys to come in and you know, and I know Stidham threw for like 300 yards or whatever against the Niners last year. I wouldn't plan on that being the floor.
No,
could he go nuts and throw for a bunch of yards? Maybe. Could he also throw 2 picks and have 130 yards passing and then lose by 3 touchdowns? Sure. Yep.
Unfortunately, I agree. You know, but I think, again, we got one more preseason game. We'll see if either of these guys looks like the de facto number 2. Here's our. Well, we'll just go around one more time. Mark, you got another stock down?
Well, actually, my next stock down was going to be Jared Stidham. Like, man, I agree with you guys. Like, he's not a capable backup. Like, so I'm worried if he has to come in and play.
Yeah, it's just that thing. Like Doc was saying, like, you want, if there's a 2 or 3 game stretch where you need to be competitive, I don't feel good about that right now, unfortunately. But you know, hopefully, again, you know, we're talking preseason reps. Maybe we'll get into the season and it'll, you know, one of these guys will stand out a little bit more. Doc, you got another stock down?
Yeah, by additional stock down, I think the offensive line in general, we talked about that a little bit. It hasn't been overly impressive. This last game was much better, especially in the run game. I thought that they did a pretty good job. Pass pro, but we expected them to, you know, have their hands full with this defensive line. I think my maybe a little bit more controversial one would be it doesn't feel like Jerry Jeudy is like ready to take that step that we all hope that he is. He's had some drops. He obviously was able to bounce back last week, but you know, I thought that deep ball that Russ threw, he could have made an effort to get that flag thrown, right? Fight through the ball, kind of understand your responsibility there. You know, that's a 40-yard difference, essentially. Ball's at the 1, and potential score a touchdown, or they kick a field goal. So I think there's just some aspects that have left me wanting. Jerry Jeudy is very skilled, but right now I don't see the explosion's coming. You know, get him on your fantasy football teams, all that stuff. I think it could happen, but the breadcrumbs aren't leading directly there.
No, definitely not. And I've been waiting for a moment for Judy, and I'm hoping that it comes in the regular season, but I'm still just kind of waiting. I'm still skeptical that he is a wide receiver one. I think he's got the talent and upside of a wide receiver one, but nothing that we've seen this far makes me feel super confident about it, unfortunately. So we'll see where that shakes out. My last one, I don't know. There's some low-hanging fruit for sure. I was hoping I would see something from Albert Okwebunam in the preseason, just to have seen something to just know whether that ship is going to sail or not. It seems like it's going to sail. He didn't really get much action. He wasn't.
I thought he played way better.
You think he played better?
He had a couple blocks and stuff.
He was fine, but it's not like anything that really moves the needle. Like to be honest,
no. Did he jump off the page? No.
And to be honest, if you expect him to be blocking in regular season games, you're probably down a few guys. I don't think they're going to bring him in to block. That's not what his natural skill set is, or at least not when he entered the league. And so, that's nice that it's something that maybe he's improved in, but I don't think it's enough to really warrant him staying on this roster. There's a few guys, Justin Strenad, I felt similarly about, just he's a guy that's been around that we've wanted to see develop. I don't feel like he's really done much to develop. I feel like he made some bad plays out there in the passing game, especially. He doesn't look super stout in the run game. So I think there's just a few guys that I was rooting for to make an impact, to be solid backup level guys, and just kind of fell short for me. So I guess I technically took two, but
pulled a mark.
I pulled a Marky D.
Yep, that's okay then. I'm not going to judge you.
For Strenad, I thought that he had an opportunity to. He's a really good special teams player. He's more athletic of the backup linebackers outside of Drew Sanders. Yeah, you need to feel confident on that guy suiting up, especially if you're only going to carry 4. So it'll be interesting to see how that group shakes out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to hijack the show a little bit now because we talked about some things, but I want to pose a question to you. It's probably more appropriate question after last week, because the Cardinals game was such a dumpster fire. But I'm just curious. I'm just curious because I was thinking about it during our live show last week and I didn't have the chance to ask it. Okay, given everything that has occurred up until this point, trades, etc., salary, everything, and taking everything into account, would you rather have Russell Wilson than Drew Lock today?
Are you really asking this question?
I'm asking this question. Look, I'm asking this question. Drew Lock has looked good in preseason. He looked really good his first game. He was 5 of 6 for over 100 yards in his second preseason game against Dallas.
He is also still the backup there, too.
He is still the backup there. Russ doesn't have a backup that's pushing him, so we would not know what that situation would look like if he was here. That's all I'm going to say. But do
you think Drew Lock is really pushing Geno Smith out of that spot?
Here's the thing. I guess I'll frame it this way, right? There was a lot of investment in Russ, a lot of capital put into him financially and through the draft.
And then
was that worth it? Was that worth it? That's all I'm going to ask, because I don't necessarily think that Drew Lock would be a great starter here necessarily. However, I do think he's taking steps, and that's interesting. So I wanted to pose the question in a way that not who's the better player, Russ Wilson or Drew Lock. I think we know the answer to that, right? But if you're talking about investment, you're talking about the full picture. Do you think the investment's been worth it up to this point? And I'll start with you, Mark.
Of Russ, the investment.
Yeah, Russ. I mean, it's been one season and one off season, so 2 off seasons.
So
can't get too
technically,
crazy.
yeah, we need more time to answer that question, because also with Drew Lock, we still need to see how he's going to continue to grow and see if he will actually push Geno out of that spot, for quarterback. Because if he does, then that really will say something,
Yeah.
But I feel like until then, I'm not worried. Like, I feel like we made the right decision.
Yeah, and I'm not mad that we have Russ. Don't get me wrong. I just think there's a lot of people in Broncos country that still think Russ is past his prime and don't expect a lot from him at this point.
Well, I'm definitely not on that train. So
yeah, and neither am I really. Like, I think Russ can have a really nice season. I think there are things that this offense and coaching staff needs to do for him to help him. And we're seeing that, I think, already in some of the play calling. But I just wanted to pose it just because it's been interesting to see. It's been interesting to see Drew play well, even in a backup role. And I even wrote about it back in the day. I felt like he didn't get a fair shake at being the starter. So, maybe this is some of that coming back. But Doc, what do you think?
In hindsight, yes. The worst thing that happened to Nathaniel Hackett was they got Russell Wilson. Could Nathaniel Hackett have been a good coach if the quarterback, he got to run what he was supposed to run and didn't try to like mold and melt things? Maybe. The investment, the capital, no. I mean, the cap commitment, all that stuff for a guy that, if Sean Payton were here last year, I would have felt much different about the acquisition. Yeah. Hindsight. Yeah. I'm only playing hindsight. You make that trade 10 out of 10 times. In hindsight, no. Cross has been an unbelievable player for Seattle already. You got to like Witherspoon. They've been able to do, especially with the cap savings, a ton. So I think in hindsight, being able to play it through with Drew and then see how it goes and then go through there, I think that would have made sense for the coach that they picked at the time. I think that would have made more sense. Who would I rather have now? I'd still rather have Russ. I think Russ is in line for a really big year. Have kind of gone out on a limb. I think that he's going to play really great this season. So I am glad that they made the deal. I think they had to make the deal. I think if word would have gotten out that they had a chance to get Russ and they didn't, I think we all would have been perturbed.
Yeah.
We got to really go back. We weren't really going after Russ. We were trying to get Aaron Rodgers.
They were going after both. Aaron Rodgers was
option A, and we didn't get him, and they went with option B, which was Russ.
Option 1 was 1A. I mean, they were working on both. They had a deal for Russ. They were working at a deal for Russ.
So we just got to go back that far. So it's like, it goes back.
I don't know that I wouldn't have rather had Aaron Rodgers either. Like, would I have rather had Aaron Rodgers now give up the same?
Yeah, me neither. I wouldn't want him either.
No, I think I'd rather have Russ. I think I'm rooting for Russ and who he is. The team probably would have been better if they had gotten Aaron Rodgers. I think that that's true. I think that the other stuff too, regardless of how Hard Knocks is trying to paint him at the current moment, I think that there's a lot of other stuff. Russ is corny and I don't care. So
one of those butterfly effect questions, JT, is like we keep him and then this and this and this and this happens.
No, but they got Charles Cross. You probably cut you cut Garrett Bowles, you got another $17 million.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that could happen. Who woulda, coulda, shoulda.
I know.
That's why it's fun.
Fun exercise for me. I just am interested to hear.
I do appreciate. I'm rooting for Drew. I think. One, it goes to show how cool it is that Geno Smith, didn't complain, didn't whine, didn't recluse. He had an opportunity to kind of shut down and he hung with it and he made the most out of his opportunity. And Drew has played really well. It sounds like his whole camp from word of it has been really great. So he also is learning from the humble opportunity, right? Like he could have been whatever, Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously other stuff went into Ryan's struggles, but that, sure. It was starter, the franchise is mine. Then all of a sudden you lose it. The bottom falls out and you're not sure what to do with it. So I think kudos to him for putting himself in a position to have maybe he gets another shot next year. Maybe he's Teddy Bridgewater, right? Where you lose your starting stuff, you rebound, you get a contract opportunity with some improved backup play. And I think that might be something in the works for him in the future.
Yeah. Something to keep an eye on. I was just curious.
Very interesting question, though, for sure.
It's good food for thought at the very least, right?
I think the hardest part about it was the contract commitment.
Right.
That's you can overcome. You can in the NFL, like no other league, you can overcome loss of draft capital just because rosters turn over so quick.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part is that if he's not the guy, that's going to be tough sledding for a few years. So that's the part that's like, oh, you could have got out of it if it's just draft capital. You know, you get all your picks back again and you reboot, figure it out. But, you know, having the money in it, especially starting next year, that'll be tough. So he has to be the answer.
I'm gonna put that poll on our Twitter account just because I just want to see everyone freak out. Because when's the last time we talked about Drew Lock?
I didn't realize he was playing so well, so thanks for the heads up on that. I didn't even know.
Yeah, he threw a dime last week, or this first season game between two guys. It looked really good, and he's just been, you know, quietly balling up there. So I'm keeping an eye. Just to see, just because I thought, you know, he had potential to end up landing somewhere and doing something. So
you're keeping receipts. I get it.
Yeah, that's right. You got to do that nowadays, right? All right, we'll jump into the last topic. We'll make it kind of quick. Broncos have one more preseason game against the Los Angeles Rams this upcoming weekend. What do you want to see from the team this game? You know, I think there's probably a good chance we don't really see much of the starters, if at all. So, Mark, what are you going to be keeping an eye on for this last kind of preseason finale?
I guess kind of how you talked about earlier about seeing like competent backups. You know, that's really all we can really evaluate watching this last game. I'm sure that's what coaches are doing this last game, just evaluating all the players that are there that they have to maybe cut or keep. You know, I'm sure it's really tough for them. We just sit and watch. You know, it's easy for us. Yeah, but yeah. So I think for me, I'm just be looking at quality backups.
Yeah. I think that's what this last game will be. Doc, would you agree with that?
Yeah. I think it's an opportunity to see if depth will shine. It'll be interesting to see like who of the backups doesn't play a ton. You know, I would assume a guy like Elijah Garcia, you know, who probably has made this team, probably won't get a ton of run. I'd be shocked if he did. That would be a little bit of a risky play. You know, McLaughlin, guys like that. I also think, you know, it's an opportunity to evaluate your practice squad. Most of the guys that you cut will be available to come back to your practice squad. So I think that there is an awareness there. And then, like we said last week, there will be additions after the 53.
Yep.
So, hopefully you keep an eye out in the league. So I think watching for that. The practice during the week, though, so the joint practices, I'm excited to hear about how those go. That, to me, will be the really telling part. I assume that the first team on both offense and defense will get a ton of reps versus, you know, the even split, trying to figure out your roster. I think, you know, ones will go against ones, and that will happen a lot. You really want to get a good barometer for your team because essentially they're not going to play in the third preseason game. So this will count, and I think it's a little bit more meaningful. You know, you're going to get a lot more reps in certain situations. You get to test your guys out, that kind of stuff. So I'm excited about that. Aaron Donald won't be in town, but I think it'll still be a good test for the group.
Any people that you're keen on specifically, either of you? I've got a few.
Talk about Drew Sanders. I really haven't seen him a lot, and I'm really excited to see it. I know they have him like they're like hiding all the stuff they're gonna do with him, so I'm really excited to see him.
No, I think that's a great one. Like he's been out there a little bit, and he looks the part, but he hasn't made any like super impactful plays yet. So I'll be interested to see how he does. You know, and hoping to see him a little bit in pass protection too, just to see how he stacks up against some of these.
I just want to see how much he actually plays because he hasn't played a whole lot during this whole preseason. So I'm kind of curious how they're going to use him like when the actual season comes too.
Yeah. The inside linebackers aren't like a featured group in this defense, right? Like they bring pressure from. It seems a little bit more the edge group instead of middle blitzes. I think that'll be a place where he can really thrive. I like watching the secondary depth. So you saw last year they needed it. Jaquan McMillan was a practice squad. He was like the third guy brought up from the practice squad last year. So, and that was a chance to probably be on this roster. So some of that, a guy like Christopher Allen, who I hope they stash on the practice squad, Alabama alum. Some guys like that, I think that will be interesting. Who of their guys do they keep around and who do they go get? I think that will be pretty telling for sure.
Yeah, there's a few guys I'm keeping my eye on. One of which, I mean, we've talked a little bit about that defensive line. So I'll be keeping eyes on, basically any of those depth pieces that Henningsen, Jackson, Garcia, Lancaster mix. I can hear myself all of a sudden. That's weird. But yeah, I mean that mix of guys is interesting. I'll be interested to see who makes the cut, who they try and get onto the practice squad. But that's potentially for depth guys. You can't keep all of them. I don't think they'll all end up on this squad or practice squad. So I'll be interested to see how that shakes out. And then, I'm a big JL Skinner guy. I'm a big JL Skinner fan. That's someone I was really excited that they drafted, got the opportunity to draft. He's bouncing back from that injury still, but he's been out there. He's looked good at times. He's looked a little slow or a little behind the play at times. So I want to see if he can kind of find some consistency out there. He had a nice hit, leveled a guy at last game.
I saw that.
And then he missed some plays in the passing game or over pursued down into the box. And then, some big plays were had. So I want to see exactly what we get from him. If we feel like he's going to be suited for that safety position, or if there's potential for him to, maybe even try and make it as a linebacker. He's an interesting one for me to keep an eye on, I'll say.
I like it. Yeah, he one really big hit and then another hit where the guy just bounced off. So
right.
Got to wrap up, and be a little quicker diagnosing it, but definitely someone I hope is in the plan long term.
Yeah, and even in that first hit, that was solid. Like he just lowered his shoulder. He didn't wrap up at all. So not every guy's going to go down with that kind of contact in this league. So he's someone to keep an eye on. All right, well, we got to call it today. Mark, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate
you
time,
guys.
of course. That's at MarkyD_17 once again on X and the One Horsetown podcast. He's got James Marilat coming up this week. So keep an ear out, subscribe. Where can they find your pod? Apple?
Spotify.
So hit up Spotify. Check out the One Horsetown podcast. Otherwise, we appreciate you guys for listening. Be kind to one another. Be safe out there, and go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway.